I've never heard of him say anything wildly negative.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a tough question. It really just depends. I mean, are you concerned more about like the gangster side or?
No, it's yesterday. I mentioned another headhunter reached out, and he exclusively works with very large family offices and ultra high net worth out of China and the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And we were discussing some aspects of opportunities with them as they want their money out of China, and this is one of the avenues for it.
Yeah.
But it's my experience because I have a couple friends where their parents are reasonably large stakeholders in industry, and I have nothing but good things to say about their family.
Right.
But there's the entire other side of, well, this would be strictly a business relationship. It's not as if it anything outside of that.
I think it's fine. I mean, yes, a lot of them are trying to get out of China. So I think it's fine from that aspect. I don't see anything wrong with it. But they do just know that they do drink and smoke like crazy. And usually, if they're going to do any kind of dealings with someone, they want to know that they can drink with them. I don't know if that's an issue. Yeah. It's not an issue for me. But they do drink and smoke like crazy.
I'll be bringing, if he does have some introductions, I would be bringing 2 of my employees with me anyhow, so they can take care of that side of it.
Okay. Well, you know, the guy that I said I attended his wedding a couple months back. The really crazy ass wedding. He manages ultra high net worth clients from Asia, all over Asia. That's the guy that used to work for, I think, State Street, Goldman.
Okay.
And I don't remember where else, but I don't know if you're serious about it, meaning like you're seriously thinking about the offer of the headhunter, you can speak to him. I can put you in touch with him. He's nice.
We'll see what comes of it at the moment, but I had a pretty extensive dialogue with the headhunter yesterday because, well, actually, hold on.
You want to type it out, don't you?
You have any upside target today? 0?
Yeah. 42, 78, 75.
78. It's like 25 points.
That most likely will be an overextension by the time we get up there. For the day.
This equity curve you posted numbers, why can't you just do the opposite?
You said that.
Yeah, that would be nice if it worked that way, but it doesn't
work that way.
Yeah, it never does, huh? EV is still positive, negative.
Well, so here's the issue. When you're running walk forward optimization, it depends on how you are optimizing the walk forward optimization. If you're optimizing for total P&L, the parameter set's going to be drastically different. Also, I would not be happy with this equity curve, even if it were flipped, because you still would have a $50,000 drawdown, pretty much to start. This is far from the actual equity curves, which I'm running. That's the main reason zero I'm considering it is offering a 2 and 20 structure with pretty of uh, yeah, the 2% fee on the allocation they're willing to give.
Mm-hmm.
I would be running with a team of 2 other people, no more.
That's a very slim team.
I don't need any more people than that.
Yeah.
I could even be running with only one other if I wanted.
Well, I guess with an automated strategy, you really don't need that many people.
The only other, maybe I would take on a PhD quant researcher as well, but outside of that, because I already have the back end built for TT. Someone came to me and said, "Hey, transition." It's okay, great. All I need is my TT API login key, and I'm ready to go.
Right.
Be an awkward discussion because I would only be at the firm 1.5 to 2 months before telling them, "Hey, sorry guys, numbers talk," and I'm out.
But you just joined your current firm, or you're staying with your current firm.
No, if one of the SMAs were to come back and say we have interest in establishing a relationship, I would do that in a heartbeat.
Okay.
I'll the main reason being is, as I just messaged you, you don't walk away from that precipitous of an increase in a base.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's a good.
That'd be irrational to say you would walk away from a base for that much. As many of them are looking at retainers of 2 years with the capital constraints of moving money across borders of that size, you're often going to be managing it for at least 2 to 3 years at a minimum. Even if you're about flat or slightly positive, slightly negative. So that's 3 years of a 2 and 20 fee structure.
So can't argue with that. I guess my question would be, are they are they fairly loose with when they can take out the money?
I'm not certain. I think that depends on the country of origin from where the funds are coming. But
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because it's still very difficult, regardless if they're investing out or inside of China. It's hard to take money out of China.
Yes. Then the other option, and it'd be as the headhunter, this wasn't the initial mandate of interest. It was for some other firms, but that wouldn't be for 8 to 12 months until there's further proof of concept of actually starting to run at full scale, and then transitioning to a different firm, such as maybe Bluecrest or someone else.
Who's Bluecrest? They're big. Oh, I'm not familiar.
Or they're massive. I want to say they have 87 or 90 billion AUM.
Oh shit. Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah. But for the interim, I'm happy with the existing firm. People there are exceedingly nice, good culture, smart people.
I
But
guess the
there's no
question you should
harm
ask
in
yourself is, where do you want to live?
that's what I'm trying to decide.
That's
Because I'm
more,
going to be,
seems like a more important question.
if I'm doing SMA, I can be located anywhere. I'm probably going to sign a lease in the next week and a half. For whether it be a condo or a house, do an 8 or 12 month, or I might purchase a place and then sell it in 8 or 12 months. I'm still deciding on that, particularly with how much I would be paying in rent. Makes a bit more sense to purchase. And then if I decide I don't like it, simply sell it.
I mean, depending on where you're at, but there are certain Southeast Asian company or countries that they'll let you bring the money in, but you can't bring the money out. Just Thailand's one of those. Just FYI.
Such as,
Yeah, like it's Thailand. Like we thought about buying a house there, and if you were to buy a house there, they'll let you take the money in to Thailand to buy the house. But once, let's just say 3 to 5 years goes by, and you're like, I'm tired of Thailand, I want to move. It's very difficult to leave with that money.
what about Indonesia?
I'm not too familiar with Indonesia. I'm sure it's just a Google away to find out, but
Yeah.
I think more or less it's probably the same. But who knows? I mean, I know like Vietnam is very similar. That's another location we saw that we're like, oh, could be interesting. I'll be right back, guys. Opening in 15 minutes.
Could you elaborate on the family card aspect, as in I need to have direct ties to the country or relatives located there? Okay. Yeah. As the only place I would really have considered potentially is Bali or Jakarta. I know a few people in Jakarta, but I can't purchase there based on what you're saying. So, mind. That's my main issue right now. Is I'm a bit uncertain where I would like to reside. I was about to sign a lease yesterday for Denver, which I have friends in Denver, but I don't know. I want to go somewhere a bit different at the moment. I'm notoriously bad with planning. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate the information. It's even, for example, in Copenhagen, it's a bit more complicated because to lease a property for more than 3 months, you need to have a residency permit. And receiving a residency permit, there's no digital nomad visa. Thus, I either would have to purchase a golden passport in one of the countries to have a residency permit, whether that would be Portugal, Spain, want to say Croatia, Malta, Norway, which they also offer digital nomad visas, but I thought, oh, I'll rent in Copenhagen for a couple months, for let's say 4 to 6 months, and then I don't have a residency visa, so that wouldn't work anyhow. My ex is also in Copenhagen, so actually, Risky frequents Copenhagen. I could ask the homie if he wants to split some rent.
He lives with his girlfriend.
Fuck it, we could rent a 5-bedroom.
Or a mansion. Just buy one. Just buy a mansion.
With how much he makes in options on a daily basis. Ooh, it's 1 or 2 days of work for him.
Oh, fuck. Hold on.
John, when we've discussed how a bunch of the DJs, particularly in Ibiza, are they simply use quote unquote attractive women to develop a following.
It works.
Oh yeah, I was one of my Hinge matches when I was out in the Hamptons for the weekend. I matched with a woman that DJs in Ibiza, and I listened to her music. It's really bad, but she's attractive, and she has a pretty decent following. It's okay, yeah, this kind of works.
Yeah, it works for me. Why not?
Marketable.
You know, eye candy and listening to music. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah, as I said, they are marketable, and that's what's important.
I like it though. There's a lot more female DJs nowadays. Before it was just a bunch of dudes. Now it's like, a bunch of females, which I like.
Oh yeah, whipped cream. Yeah, I'm referring to the artist. Nothing else.
Oh, I think I've heard of her. I'm pretty sure.
Let's see.
I may be wrong, but
Then there's the generic Alice in Wonderland, but her sets are typically pretty good.
yeah, I like Alice in Wonderland. She has a unique sound to her.
Yeah.
She was spinning at EDC while pregnant.
Okay. to. No, the link does not want to paste. Some of which I was disappointed. 1788L in 2018, 2019. I was hopeful they were going to continue to release, but really not much has come of them. I want to say it was. What was the speculation? Surprisingly, we discussed this a while ago. Diesel / Shaq's sets are pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's throwing his own festival or something like that I read. Probably happening after the NBA finals.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. Did anyone watch that game last night or a bit of it?
I didn't.
You didn't?
I saw that they got blew out though, the Heats.
Well, this is where I look at some of the games. I really almost only watched the fourth quarter. And a bunch of with the Celtics and Heat, there were quite a few occasions where they were trailing midway through the third quarter, ended up going on a 16 to 2 point run, and then the Celtics would go, let's say, on an 8 point run, and then the Heat would come back and do a 12 point run. It was run and gun basketball. It was enjoyable to watch, and I almost never watch basketball. I was hopeful last evening when there were 3.5 minutes and they cut the game and they cut the score to single digits again in the fourth quarter that, okay, maybe they'll go on an 8 or 12 point run, and then it didn't happen. But
yeah, I usually watch the entire game highlights the day after instead of watching the entire game.
I don't have the attention span.
Yep, same.
If I'm going to watch sports, which I never do, it's going to be I'm on my bike riding, doing an endurance ride for 2.5, 3 hours. And outside of that, no, thank you. Belisarius is back.
Be right back.
Good luck, guys. Opening up in a minute and a half. Risk spreads are positive. There's really nothing I want to do. I mean, yes, I'm trying to look for a sell just because, truthfully, you know, I don't really have an area to get long. But if I'm going to look for a sell, it's going to be in the Dow. Good luck. You guys are going to be watching 39.75 in the ES, and 47.25 well for the halfway. Numbers for ES again is 47.25, 39.75. Again, unless this has some crazy, you know, really deep pullback, I'm not going to get long. But there's nothing, you know, I'm not really loving shorts either. But it's just because the type of trader I am, I don't like to buy these kind of breakouts. But if you're a short momentum trader, I think NQ or I think buying is perfectly fine. No desire to get short as of now. Still looking at that Jackson Hole number, guys. Watch Microsoft at 336.28. That's going to be your first indication that you can take a short if once we get up there. See nothing. So is the Russell. The Russell's in a major level right now at 04.6. Microsoft is at this number at 36.38. If they give it to me, I'll try a short in the Dow. I think the Russell also has the capability, but I prefer not to. I think the Dell is a little bit easier if it gives it to me. Right back at some water. Remember, if you're taking any trades, you're trying to take your profits early and quick because it's gonna be a time frame trade. The Dow's overextended at 538. ES is overextended at 8450. NQ is overextended at 4475. So I'm not entirely sure this is a good short. Despite this, if you're trading on minutes, then perhaps. But yeah, I'm staying out of it. You're welcome, Alex. It's a lot of sell-off. Finally got a reversal in the Dow 473. If I can get up to 473 or so, maybe even a little bit lower, 472. I'll take a stab at it. All right, I'm in. 45. Not loving it. We'll see what happens. 41. Whoa. That looks like I'm gonna get stopped up. Yep, I'm out. Journal time. Those of you guys don't journal your trades, you should. If you don't journal your trades, just FY for general public, if you don't journal your trades, chances are you're not going to succeed. And when I say not succeed, I mean there's a high probability you're not going to succeed. 2, 3, 5, 2. Yeah, I just use a spreadsheet because I don't take that many trades. Yeah, I don't take that many trades. And if you are taking a lot of trades, that's okay. Just know that there is a decent correlation between taking a lot of trades and failing if you are discretionary. Again, if I see a reversal, I will take a second stab at this. But I don't see one yet.
In all candor, Rye, I would say for the interim, over trading is better than under trading. If capital isn't the issue. As that, particularly if you're journaling your trades, that's going to allow you to further refine what constitutes a good entry and a bad entry. Often, unfortunately, what is communicated to many traders is, oh, it's much better to undertrade, but unless you have explicit definable edge, overtrading is going to allow you to far more quickly determine what constitutes a profitable criteria versus unprofitable criteria, or mediocre entries versus A+ entries. And that's far more important than simply saying, oh, well, I only took 2-3 trades today, versus if you're overtrading and you are journaling. Overtrading and journaling are, if you're going to overtrade, you must journal. If you're undertrading, you still need to journal, but particularly with overtrading, it should be easier for you to more quickly have definable edge in a market. Well, yeah, I agree with that. I don't really recommend anyone trade off the DOM. You're well aware of that. Bellasaurus.
Keep on watching that Jackson Hole number. I think that's going to be the reversal point. We're overextending it down now, but still, if you're trading the way I'm promoting trading, you don't just look at one asset. You want to look at multiple assets. So I'm still waiting for that ES to get there, or it gives me a really decent price action reversal. Otherwise, you shouldn't be taking it. The gap fill is done in NASDAQ as well. So a lot of these assets are doing just their own goddamn thing, especially if you look at the names as well. So
oh no, SEC would come from my head. SEC, FINRA, CFTC. And with how low my fees are, why would I? I also don't have as much capital. Yeah, my commission and round trip fees are, which granted, that's just an expense. It's 40 cents aside. 39 cents to be technical. Because being a PM at a high frequency trading firm, they have the relationships they have with exchanges. Yeah.
you're gonna have to get any license for it, or
No, because there's no external capital associated with the firm.
oh.
Once a month if I want, once every 2 months, once every 3 months. It really depends. It's whenever I want to go in.
Wait, I had to get. Wait, did I? I don't remember. Let me think.
I was about to say, if it was only in-house money, then it's not required. As soon as you begin accepting outside investor capital, you need to have
I have a Series 6.
7.
Or did.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Series 7.
And then I want to say Series 63, Series 55, and a couple others.
Yeah, for some reason I wasn't required to use to have those. I think maybe it was just a filter for people. I think they were just trying to make it difficult for you to get in there.
That's one of the benefits of firms only managing in-house money, is you don't need any licenses. Because particularly no quant wants to have to go out and receive a license.
I'm sure it's not difficult for them to just get it.
Oh no, it's not. But they consider it a waste of their time.
Yeah. Hell, if I could get it, you could get it, or a lot of you can get it.
Everyone there is great. Bellatorius. Genuinely nice people. Voracious curiosity to learn. Even though they all have PhDs, and then there I am, and my employees without PhDs. Did you ever see the movie Zero: Revenge of the Nerds? I think it's from 1984 or something.
I don't remember it, but yeah, I watched it.
If you can imagine that movie in
That's what you guys
those people at a firm, it is exactly that.
I can see that, but at the same time, I would love to work at a place like that. Not for necessarily anything else, but more so like just the amount of knowledge that just flows through that place.
Yes, although I am particularly a proponent of individuals with non-traditional backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's preferential to have individuals which approach problems differently, but when the majority have similar academic accolades of PhDs in particle physics, PhDs in pure mathematics or algebraic geometry, non-Euclidean geometry, whatever, everyone's approaching the problem very similarly. Versus once you begin having some non-traditional backgrounds integrated into a team, you can have a multifaceted approach. I would say that's often detrimental to many companies, is having redundancies. And those redundancies ultimately are not going to further contribute to the viability or success. If you have 40 redundancies overall, or let's say 15 redundancies, because there's going to be a fair bit of overlap. Well, how do you approach a problem differently then? You really don't. You're in the business of solving problems. And that's what most PhD researchers do well. They solve problems. But you occasionally need a different approach, particularly if you're transitioning outside of HFT. For fuck's sakes, when I referred to open, high, low, close, I had 4 people ask me, "Oh, what's open, high, low, close?"
Because they're not traders.
They don't know how to trade. They know how to do research, optimize, feature selection, and then a decision tree for hyperparameterization. That's what they do very well. But when it comes to trading, they do not know. Which is good, because that's an environment where you can learn. They want to learn from you, you want to learn from them. And life is predominantly a perpetual process of continued learning. It's not a bad place to be. Predominantly how to improve feature selection, building out specific features, and then once those features are constructed, use a grid search to determine which are optimal. And then once you have your grid search, you would run it through, let's say, a decision tree using XGB or XGBoost for the hyperparameterization. If I have questions regarding the research process, regarding research structuring, they can address that quite easily. However, none of my source code is ever going to be shared. I have full IP retention. And the only aspects which are being shared now that I can wrap everything in an executable file. Inclusive to research, pipelines. So is this only the research side, or because my research environment and live environment are similar? So let's say research environment / live environment, pipelines, exchange connections, all of that. Who right now, by end of month, there's going to be about 5 strategies running across about 40, about 10 to 12 securities end of month. I will say end of month, I'll be looking at about 15,000 lines total, but most of that is pipeline related. That's not research environment and live environment. Research environment and live environment is quite consistent. That's only going to be about 1,500 to 2,000. The pipelines are predominantly what is dictating the expansive. There's a lot of redundancies in there. It's not that much because the research and live environment are only about 1,500 to 2,000. When you say actually running backtest, are you also referring to a signal funcs folder, a utils folder? I can tell you right now. A full comprehensive backtest, let's say with an offset time delta, for accurate modeling of limit orders, 500, not that many. And that's with thorough modeling of only making rather than taking liquidity. So ensuring that price fully trades into the bid, fully trades into the ask, and the ask then becomes the bid for entries, exits to minimize slippage. Yeah, you could do that 500. You need a signal funcs folder. That's going to be the decision logic for how you're executing your trades. Signal funcs folder is quite important, having that partition rather than it integrated, because once you have a partition into a folder, you can then build out numerous backtests based on the signal func versus it being independently integrated into the backtest. So import the signal funcs in utils, and once you import the signal funcs in utils, you can then use that in any backtest you desire to run, as long as the entry and exit conditions are consistent across the strategy. One of the main reasons I hired 2 employees.
I'll be right back.
Oh. No, they're not at the office. They work remotely. I know both of them personally. They work exclusively for me, not for the firm. The firm pays their salary. I'm responsible for their bonus. One of their backgrounds is hotel management, and the other's background is mechanical engineering. Well, the hotel management background, he was one of the lead architects at Google's conversational AI Bard, or their Bard conversational AI. He was one of the lead solution architects for that, but he wanted to transition into quant finance, and I had known him reasonably well. His communication is absolutely superb. He can address problems considerably more expeditiously than many full-time quants that I know. And the mechanical engineer was another friend who worked at Apple and was one of the main contributors for Apple's displays. So iPhone 12, iPhone 13, iPhone 14, iPad XDR. that's more his specialty, but he has a fascination in finance and he takes a different approach to it. So we all look at problems a little bit differently. And we have a daily handoff often where I'm running most of the back tests, making modifications to the back test, tell them, hey, I think we should integrate this. They reevaluate it, they implement what's suggested, have that dialogue and back and forth. His degree's in mechanical engineering, but most of what he did was display engineering. And none of us have PhDs. At the moment, the current sentiment is the firm will be a bit of a springboard. As if everything goes to plan, their business model will be shifting. Market making has limited scalability. That's one of the issues. They're looking to diversify their existing portfolio and reduce the overall Sharpe ratio through intraday strategies. And they were aggressively recruiting intraday derivatives PMs because they only trade futures at the moment. That's where I come in, is if one is able to hit scale successfully, then the margin requirements are going to increase because intraday margin requirements for market makers are negligible. For a full E-mini contract, they pay $30 or $40 in intraday margin for full E-mini contracts because they're making markets. When you're trading anywhere from 1 million to 1.3 million contracts across CME, CBOE, NYMEX, COMEX, Eurex exchanges, well, that's across pretty much all major exchanges. Current month, forward month, every contract. If there's a market to make, they will be making it. E-mini is closer to 1.4, unless you're so they will be trading minis, micros on CME, CBOE, energies, and then they have teams based out of London for ICU, trading ICU, Eurex. They also have a team based out of Cyprus. Then in Singapore, Hong Kong, Sydney, a couple other locations. But when you're trading that much volume, due to the relationships you have with exchanges, the margin requirements are non-existent. No one's trading Cyprus, tax advantage for crypto. I actually, hold on. So for a standard individual, this pertains to fees and commissions. Even if you're leasing a seat, your exchange fees are going to be $133 per side and an NFA fee of 2 cents per contract. But if you are a market maker on the exchange, as in a 106J member, your exchange fees will be 39 cents and your NFA fees are 0 cents. No, only intraday. They're no discretionary now. They're exclusively pretty much a market making firm. I'm the only person doing intraday swing positions. The way most of my strategies are evolving at the moment, it's often looking at if all is copacetic and it's a positive day, I'm taking one trade, one or two trades, no more. And that's yielding the most stable equity curve, which is a bit of a surprise. But the most stable equity curve is 1 to 2 trades a day. Still needs to be further refinement in the data set, but what do you mean? Why do they care about my 2-year trading logs? I had data going back to 2019, a full P&L of all my systematic strategies back from 2019 up until 2023 of April. Yeah, my trading data, because they wanted to build a probability curve of a probability cone of the strategies to determine how aggressively one could scale and remain within that probability cone. That's why. Establishing the probability cone is really what matters most for prior to going live, because if you remain within the probability cone parameters, once you test the pipelines with 5-6 contracts, if that goes well, it adheres to the probability cone and performance, you then jump up to 15, then you go to 20, then you go to 40, then 50, then 80, then 100, so on and so forth, until you start to hit a wall. Once you hit that wall, well, then you need to reevaluate performance. Or sorry, you then need to reevaluate execution mechanisms. Sorry, not performance. I don't know. P&L was quite generous. And however, I'm not fond of the prospect of a firm having to change their business model and potentially go seek additional outside funding to further scale strategies due to increased margin requirements. That very well might be a circumstance. I'm already speaking with the headhunter regarding opportunities 8 to 12 months down the road. That if everything goes well with scaling, sizing, is transitioning to a firm that has far larger AUM for a pretty sizable allocation. That's part of the thought right now. What's most important is I like the people there. They're genuinely nice, smart, providing pretty much all the resources I need. What's in all candor, most important is having full IP retention. I don't have a non-compete in place, which Pretty much facilitates transitioning if I want. As I don't see myself transitioning out of this space in the foreseeable future, as I never will have as much capital as a firm is willing to allocate. And it's a lot better working with someone else's money when you're looking to scale very aggressively, particularly into different markets, than it is using your own capital, because there's no cost to capital at the moment. If you want to be running 20 different strategies on 10 to 15 different assets each, well, that's not an issue. But if you're trading your own capital, that's not particularly feasible.
I gotta go. I'll see you guys in a bit. I'm gonna help my wife with some shit.
Yeah. Take care.
Okay, better. Good weekend if I don't see you.
You too. Yep. Bye. Yeah, I get it's the unfortunate reality. I've said this for quite a while. Almost all of retail is horribly undercapitalized. And that's not conducive to long-term success for most. Overcapitalized and overleveraged. There's really no way around that. They can help with structuring a back test. The idea of it, or how to structure a grid search. And you have an open dialogue regarding that. But nothing will be shared because A, I know the upside of the strategies. B, how stable the equity curves are. I'm young enough where my objective is to continue scaling my strategy and retain the IP fully. That it was explicitly written in my contract that I have full IP retention. I wouldn't have signed a contract if I wasn't given full IP retention. As all the other firms were willing to offer IP retention. He makes more from Vector BT. As the firm actually bought, after realizing the use case for Vector BT, they decided to purchase commercial licenses. Granted, we would have used it regardless. I would have continued using it. But because that's one of the most integral components of I'm not going to rebuild the entire back end. That's several months in itself. Oh, what are your thoughts on the course thus far? But overall, it's worthwhile. Better understanding for building backtests or better understanding of data science as a whole? As I think it's more important to computer science and understanding how it's structured is quite important. I don't think not many people have access to the GPT code interpreter at the moment, but most entry level analysts put the code interpreter. It's a plugin. It's in an alpha version. So the GPT-4 code plugin, code interpreter plugin is still in the alpha phase. Not many people have access to it at the moment. What it can do for entry pretty much removes the need for an entry level data analyst completely. But if you know how it should be structured, then that's a different discussion. Google, go to YouTube and look up GPT-4 code interpreter. What it can do is fascinating. You upload your CSV file and there's your data analysis. It's not only that, but asking it to parse, find abnormalities in the data, maybe correlations, which you might not otherwise see. And then you can build out your own backtest how you see suit once you have it quickly parse potentially some correlations in the data set with simply having a language interface. What do you mean you joined server with this? For $20 a month, GPT-4 is worth every cent. If they told me it was $100 a month, I would still pay it, or $200. However, I've yet to receive access to the GPT-4 API. I want access to the API. Yeah, it's okay. If you already know how to code, it's fantastic. But if you don't, then it's not overly useful. It's somewhat useful. Let's see how bad these are. Oh, geez, that's. Yeah. What is my team? Hey, Chow, have you used Code Interpreter yet or no? Oh, okay. It's still in its alpha form phase. Code Interpreter is better than anything I've touched. I'm hopeful it rolls out to the general public, isn't in the beta form, in the next month, ideally. As I haven't found all too much great use in the plugins yet. I don't know about you. It's been far more efficient. For example, they have the Ask Your PDF plugin. It's faster for me to build an interface with LangChain and something that's a bit more comprehensive than use the Ask Your PDF. There also isn't the 25 questions per 3 hour limit. When you say, how complex does it be? As I've had in 150 lines of code with using LangChain, text vectorization, / embedding, and then using Pinecone for a database. It would be tough to say something significantly better, especially if you're running with the GPT-4 API. Yeah, if you're storing everything in a Pinecone database that's vectorized. Are you predominantly referring to the startups are intended for those that don't have the domain knowledge to construct something? Or are they doing something particularly unique? Okay. Little do they know they can watch an hour of YouTube videos and pretty much just copy and paste the code and they could do the same. Yep, it's exactly that. Oh, where is this guy? This guy has a really good YouTube channel. I don't know if any of you have come across this YouTube channel. It doesn't have many followers at the moment. But his content's it's superb.
Which is basically
Very good.
the range of candles to the volume. The theory is that volume confirms price.
And the videos are reasonably short. They're dense. Explanations are not exceedingly thorough, but it's provocative. And the necessary code is there to potentially plug and play. In terms of data visualization, there is legitimacy to it. As I actually was
In this
discussing that
video,
with
I'll show
one
a technique.
of the PhDs at the firm, whose PhD was in, I want to say algebraic geometry. And he has used graph theory before for detecting maxima and minima and then overextended moves. But his graph theory applies to evaluating order book, not actual price patterns. Most of their work is entirely order book analysis. No, as in, so let's just do something there. Let's just say something very simple. Buy sell pressure, and then their prediction power is the next 16, often 16 to 32 ticks is the prediction power they have, which is why they are market makers. So the next incoming 16 to 32 trades, they have predictive power. Yeah, 32 trades. 32 trades, 32 ticks is the same thing. In market making space, if you have a 32 tick chart, a 32 tick chart is going to be a 32 trade chart. They would have prediction power within the next 16 to 32 ticks. No. If they had that much predictive power, they'd probably be the richest people on the planet. After a certain threshold, yes, you'd begin to have considerable market effect, but they can also model the market effect their trades would have for the next 30 seconds to 1 minute due to the historical data that they have. They have full order book data going back to 2013. It's usually to a power of 2. So 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. 32 ticks is the upper end of the spectrum. It's often closer to about 16 ticks. I don't know. It really depends. 1 or 2 ticks at most. So 0.25 or 0.5. Rarely is it 0.5. It's often 0.25 because they are making, not taking. They're market makers. That's why. They only make markets. They're not. They're taking 80, 100,000 trades a day. Often 200,000 to 300,000 trades a day. What else are you going to do to analyze that? Yeah, they're market makers, Belisarius. It's all high frequency trading. No market maker is going to martingale. Usually 2 to 5 lots, no more. And martingale versus stops are completely different. Martingale would imply that each occasion you're incorrect, you increase your sizing. That's not feasible because then you need to have a market effect, and market making becomes drastically different. No, they never average down. They don't scale position sizing either. You have petabytes of storage. That's how you store it. I don't know, probably his organization of, why can't I think of the formal term? I'm quite familiar with most of what he uses. Probably, ooh, that's tough. Probably the market profile video, and having that as a rolling period. I've done something similar to that before, but I hadn't thought of it in regards to using that as a breakout or breakdown strategy. And if I could further filter that, I might, once I have time to evaluate that, I will. But that would be another iteration of one of my existing strategies, which uses volume profiles, extrapolating the data, then trading off of the high volume nodes. I wouldn't expect to be testing this until mid to late summer. I wouldn't necessarily say I think in a similar way, but the material is provocative to the extent of maybe a different approach to a problem I'm trying to solve, or a permutation of an existing strategy. Thank you, Chow. I'll actually have to ask a few people about this at the firm if they've used it, because they have their own custom libraries in internal, pretty much internal Wikipedia for exactly this purpose. Yeah, data for order book is cost prohibitive. However, you could begin evaluating crypto order book data, which is readily available. If there aren't any more questions, I may sign off reasonably soon to start writing. Since I have quite a few walk forward tests running right now and playing around with some different parameter sets. Well, that's highly frowned upon if done frequently, maybe on occasion, but yeah, it's highly frowned upon. I'm trying to smooth out a lot of my equity curves right now. As an example, so for one of my strategies, I have a limit order. I'm using vector BTs, so that has PyTorch, XGB, and I'm trying to think one other library for that. But so right now, for one strategy, I have a limit order permutation, a market order permutation, and a reversal permutation of it. So I have 3 different iterations of that. Then I have a mid-frequency, low frequency, and high frequency version. Thus, that's practically 9 versions of one strategy able to be run with very smooth equity curves. And because there's nearly a negligible cost of capital, I can run all of them. No questions asked. That's one of the benefits. When there is nearly no cost of capital, you can run whatever you want. All right. If there's nothing else, I'm probably going to hop off. And if you have further questions, don't hesitate to tag me. Until then, take care. Frozen Tundra is streaming right now as well. But all right, take care, everyone. You too, ciao. Bye-bye.
Trading is like, and I mean, you could just see open P&L just evaporate within just a second or two. It's a very tough environment I think we're in right now. But
liquidation, yeah.
Not to get distracted. I mean, watch, this thing was like up here. Watch it just come down and stop me out here. Anyways.
Hopefully not.
Okay, where were we? So if we don't have DOM depth data existing at that index, then we return. Otherwise, we keep going, which means that there's going to be something in this. So how is this actually working? This code, get market depth. What was the name of the function? Get market depth bars. Get market depth bars. And then you provide it the index, right? We gave it sc.index. What it's doing is it's telling Sierra, hey, go examine this bar index that we passed in here, right? Go examine this, and then for each, inside the scope of just that one bar, see if any of these price levels have market depth information in them. And all of that information is going to get stored back into a structure called this axle depth bars, upon which we can then call subsequent calls to see like what the quantity is, or what the bid side is, and what the ask side looks like. So so that's kind of the how and why of what's happening behind here. Let's go ahead and open this up. And then let's open this up, go back to our example here. So what do they do next? They get the lowest price tick index in order to be able to iterate through them. And so what this means in English is that, first of all, there may be places where there are gaps and there is no depth data in here. This might be a gap. This might be a gap. This might be a gap. And so what they're saying for getting the lowest tick index is saying, hey, out of this whole bar, where is the first spot that actually has depth data? Well, visually, you and I can see that it's right there. But code-wise, we don't have a way to do that. We can't just iterate through each of the price levels one by one, tick by tick. So we're asking that structure to say, hey, where is the first level of depth inside this bar? Okay, where's the next level? It skips this because there is nothing there. So we use that function to kind of walk us through each of these. Why can't we iterate through the price levels? It doesn't look like Sierra supports that. That's a good question, Belisarius. The question is why can't we just iterate through each price level, each tick on our way up? Like, why not just be able to go tick, 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 tick? Do we have depth data? I'm not sure they expose that for us. So the way that they have it here is get the lowest price tick, and then you do iterate through it by using this function, get the next higher price tick based on the index that you were just on. So this is the way that they recommend iterating through it. And the reason might be is maybe this is changing really frequently. Maybe this, maybe they had some kind of memory errors or something when they tried to iterate through by price. Maybe for whatever reason they constructed it like this. So I don't actually know the why of why they didn't just make it so that you could say, hey, each price level, do we have any depth data? But they didn't. So, the next thing we need to do is actually get the lowest price tick index. And let's go ahead and search for that right here. It returns the lowest price as a tick index, so not as a float, that has any known depth quality within the bar at the given bar index. If nothing exists at that bar index or the bar index is outside of range, this will return 0. Okay. So let's go ahead and implement get bar lowest tick index, which returns an integer type. Grab the lowest tick index for the bar we're examining. So int lowest, or I'll just call it tick index because I think we're going to increment it. And what was it? That was get bar lowest price tick index. Get bar lowest price tick index for that bar that we're on. Get bar lowest price tick index. And that was on, yeah, PDOM. So PDOM, you get price lowest bar tick index for sc.index. I think I spelled that correct. No, it's get bar lowest price tick index. Get bar lowest price tick index. I think that was the name. There we go. So now we got that. So this index will represent, this tick index will represent the, whatever this level is that we're trying to fetch. Next, they have a do statement. They have a do while loop. So this is a while loop. That's kind of a different construction than you usually see. Usually see while loops. This is going to be a tangent here. Usually you see while loops constructed in the following format, where you have while, and then, you know, some condition. Let's call it condition is equal to true, just to make it simple. While some condition is equal to true, do something. That's the usual construction of a while loop. But here, you can see they have a do while, and that's a little bit different. And what they're saying is very similar, but what they're saying, what they're saying is do these things while this thing stays true. And by thing, I mean this condition stays true. Do these things while this condition stays true. Is very similar to while this condition is true, do these things. I guess you could say this is an active voice and this is a passive voice if you're into literature, but I don't Honestly, I don't use while loops all that often, just because of other things that are beyond the context of this stream. But let's go ahead and implement what they're suggesting to do here. So they're saying while we have a next higher price index available, grab the next one. I'm actually not going to write it as a do while. I'm going to write it just as a while. And so I'm going to write it as while get next higher price index, price tick index, get next higher price tick index. I'm just going to copy this. So I'm going to misspell it. While pdom get next higher price index for sc.index of tick index, because we have to pass in get next higher price index is right here. You see that you pass in the bar index and then also that reference to the tick index that you were calculating starting at the bottom as you go through there. So we pass those two in. While there are still further price indices to go. Oh, I know why they have it as a do. Because if you don't do it as a do while, this will increment immediately and you'll end up missing this first one. If you have it as a regular while loop, you already got this one, so you already you have the index of whatever this is. But if you don't do a do while, you can't actually act upon it until you hit this, and then you're already moving up to here, and you end up missing the market depth that was available here, which is why they have it as a do while. And this position came all the way back. Wow. That's brutal. Brutal. So it just got stuffed there again. Incredible.
It's interesting because ES at the highs, new highs, 80s.
Yeah, we all saw what happened there. I mean, someone came in and just absolutely blasted it when it got up there. But yeah, this sucks. This is, and this is what the last couple of weeks has been. Just really terrible price action. This is just terrible. That's awful. Anyways, let's go back to here. So that's why we need to do a do while instead of just a regular while. Okay, fair enough. And so they are grabbing the bid quantity, the max bid quantity at that price index. So this is where all of these functions come in. So you can do things like get the quantity on the dominant side, get the bid quantity, get the ask quantity, get which side was dominant, get whatever the last size was for a side, get the last bid quantity, last ask quantity, get the last quantity for... This is just any last quantity. But I think these are the two functions that we probably want to leverage. Get last bid quantity and get last ask quantity. Get last bid quantity, get last ask quantity. And that's what we'll want to do inside of this do piece here. So do while, and then and how are they doing that? They have an integer, get max bid quantity, and this is the same int, get last ask quantity, bar index, price tick index. Price tick index, bar index, price tick, get last bid quantity, get last ask quantity. So int bid quantity equals pdom get last bid quantity for sc.index on the tick index that we currently are on. I'm going to replicate that and switch this, to ask quantity and change this to ask quantity. And those are going to be the bottom two the bottommost level on the bar, those are going to be the both sides of the quantities on that bottommost. So that'll be the bid and ask quantities for this guy. And then on the next iteration, this will all move up and you'll be able to fetch this. And then next iteration, you'll be able to move up and fetch this and then this. And that's how that will work. I do remember at one point there is a way to actually start at whatever the current price is and move equal distant away from it on both sides. I think I still have that code somewhere. I'll try to dig that up because that might be actually better for what you're trying to accomplish. But so that will get that for you at the bottommost one, and then you can spit that out. So if we create an SC string here called message, and then here we say message.format, and then I'll say bid quantity by ask quantity by ask quantity, and I'll even put the index and tick index for those, and then say sc.add message to log. And then instead of doing every single, because right now this is going to go through every single price level on that bar, let's limit it to just, let's limit it to just 3 right now. So limit it to just 3 levels, and we'll set a counter to 0, and then every time we come through here, we'll counter, and then if counter is greater than or equal to the limit, then we can just return from the function and just bomb out, basically. So that's what this is going to do. Let's go ahead and open Sierra. Poor coding stream. I'm going to remote build this. See if we have any errors. Okay, we have an error here. This has no member named depth data exists. Did you mean depth data exists at? Yes, I did. Let me add the word at right there. And let me recompile. And, oh gosh, I'm going to need to open up a new chart book and a new intraday chart. And let's just open up the ES. And then we'll just bring this over here. And we'll just close this for now. And let me change data limiting to make this like 3 days. This is on a 1 minute, but whatever. Analysis studies, add custom study. Coding stream 0602. And let's open the message log. Nothing happening on the message log. I have nothing happening on the message log.
Maybe because you didn't put the DOM on. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's a good point. It could be just not having any depth data, so therefore it didn't go. Let's go ahead and turn on trade. Open trade window for chart. That's not what I wanted. Where's the chart trading DOM? Okay. Okay. So there's some levels, depth levels. Yeah, I'm not seeing this come through at all. Let's let me make this here. make this a little bit wider, like this, and this. Let's walk through. I wonder if it's dying here. Let's go ahead and put some debug in. Message that format no depth data at sc.index, sc.add message to log of message. So I don't know what's wrong right now. So I'm going to add that here, and then if this is null, I'm going to say null pointer for get market depth bars. And I'm going to do that there and return there. And then let's go ahead and rebuild this. No depth data is what it's saying for 3844. So it's not finding any depth data for this. So I wonder if this is what they meant by historical. Is that there's no historical data. So I wonder if we need to use a different function altogether. I wonder if this is just the wrong market. Get maximum market depth levels. Nope. Market depth. Get ask market depth level at entry level. Get market depth and levels. Get market entry level for get bid. Get bid market depth stack pull sum. Numbers for a symbol. Number of levels. Number entry depth entry at level for symbol. Get the bid market depth entry at level. What does this do? Actually, I think this is what we need to do in order to get at that data. Now that I think about it, I wonder if this is just for historical and you can't actually use this for anything else. So let's make another attempt at this. Going to blow this all away, and then we're going to get this working, and then I'm going to switch to someone else here. This provided this, and then a level index. And what is a level index? Oh, you have to set uses market depth data to 1 in the study function. Ah, I wonder if that was the issue. Let's bring this back. And let's set sc.uses market depth data equals 1. Let's see if that makes any difference. Nope. Makes no difference for that function. So this must be historical. One other thing I wonder is if we had this set to the prior, this must just be historical. That must be it. It's not live, and I think this is live. So let's go ahead and do this. So we have our uses market depth data set to 1. Market depth entry is the struct that we need to pass into get bid market depth entry at level. And then what is this level index? That's the only part that I don't know. Level index. Level index variable for the chart after. Check out depth of market function in ACS source studies for an example. Okay, let's do that. Sierra chart studies. And here's this example. And what is it doing? Maximum market depth levels. Market depth levels, bid level arrays. Level 0. Wow. Oh, I see. Okay. So you get the number of levels, and then you can just iterate through each of them. I think this example here, Morphus, is actually exactly what you need to look at. I think this example does exactly what you're looking for right here. This is in studies.cpp, and it is depth of market data. I think this does exactly what you're looking for. So take a look at that. I just realized we spent an hour on this one question, which was not my intent. But yeah, take a look at this and then maybe see some follow-ups.
Okay, great, man. Thanks.
Let's switch to, I saw Reinhardt had a question earlier. Where is this? And so for those who are following along or trying to, studies.cpp has a get market depth function, which shows how to do this. Reinhardt asks, could you talk for a minute or two about sending data over the wire and basically about sending data over the wire? Is he still here? Where is Reinhardt? No, he's not here. Well, basically he's asking if there's a way to send data over the wire from within Sierra. So can you send data from Sierra chart to some external application? And the answer is yes, you can. So there's a couple ways to do this. It depends on several factors. Number one, the amount of data you're trying to send. That can be broken down into, I guess, two pieces. One, the size of the data that you're trying to send and the frequency of sending that data. And then also the type of data you're sending. So if you have Sierra here and you have some external application or web endpoint or whatever, it really doesn't matter what it is, something external, and you have a line right there. These two are not related to each other. It could be on the same machine. It could be on a machine on the other side of the world. How do I get information from here into here? Well, it depends on the size of the data, the frequency that you need to send it, and the type of data that you're sending. Sierra exposes a couple of things. They expose a way to send HTTP requests through the Sierra APIs. And what that allows you to do is use either GET or POST calls in order to send payloads to an endpoint on the web of your choosing. So you could take some data here from, like, let's say you have a moving average study, right? And then let's say you grab a value from that moving average study, right? And now you want to send it over here. Well, you could use one of these two HTTP request methods that Sierra exposes in their API, and those are functions, HTTP. There you go. Also, there's a binary if you want to send a raw binary. So if you want to do an HTTP request, you can. And what you can do is package up your value. Where was I? You can package up your value, make that HTTP request, and Sierra will send it over the HTTP protocol to whatever that listener is on the endpoint that you provided. So that's one way to do it. If you're using a GET call, you are limited in the size and type of data that you are sending. So if you're using a GET, then you're going to have to provide all the values in a query parameter. In a query parameter are the types of things you see on websites, like, not like that, but like this right here. You see this piece right here? Question mark page equals doc. I'm sure you guys have seen this on any web page. Like you go to any web page. If I go to Google, you're going to see the same thing. Not the same exact thing, but some other query parameter. This is a query parameter. Why? Because it is a parameter existing inside the query that you are making to this web page. This is a query parameter. Now, if you have more complex data, like this can send a string, this could send a number. So if I have a number of like 100, I could send it like that. If I have a decimal in there, that should be fine. But if I need to send very complex structures over the wire, this won't cut it. This is good for sending like one piece of small data that's a type that can be easily transported, and not for complex like other structures and objects. So this is for like simple stuff that you want to send over the wire. If you want to get really fancy with it, then you may need to switch to a post. And this is where the values are actually sent in a post body, where you construct basically a piece of data that is contained inside of a special, let's call it a special package that you can send over the wire. It's not sent through the query like the get calls. It's sent through. Oh gosh, what are post bodies sent through? I think they're sent through the headers on the call itself. So we're getting into like how the HTTP protocol works and how TCP/IP works as well. But basically, it packages this up, and you can send much more complex things in that post. And then it looks like they also offer a binary option, which also would let you send things like images, sounds, or really any data type that you would want to send. So you can do all that stuff. Your receiving endpoint needs to be able to consume the things that you're sending from Sierra. So if we're using this simple example of a GET, you need to have a website or an endpoint that is listening to incoming calls that can receive your GET call and extract the query parameters. So if we go back to that example here, so your website would need to be able to, let's say this was called like my value. You need to be able to have your website read my value and extract the value 100.00 from it in order to consume it on this side and make use of my value, which came over the wire from Sierra. Okay. Let me think about what else we can do. What are the other questions here? Do I have Jigsaw? No, I don't. What are we trying to do? This post may be of use. TCP/IP server, custom study, da da da. Okay, got all of that. Okay, got through all those questions. Fab, I have to leave. I'll post my question next week. These sessions are useful. Thanks again. You're welcome. You're not here, but you're welcome. So going back to his question here, so it depends on the size of the data. These calls are not instant. These calls take time to happen, depending on where this endpoint exists. Does it exist in the same network as you are on now? Is it on the other side of the world? It's going to take time for that TCP call to make it to the other side of the world and back for its handshakes and confirm that the payload was actually made it there. So this is not an instant solution. This is not a highly, this won't support a very high throughput depending on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to send loads of data every 1 second, this is probably not the way you're going to want to go. So it really depends on, again, the size, the frequency, and then the type of data that you're sending. Another option that you have is to open up a socket. And I don't think Sierra exposes any of this, but thankfully you're in C++, so you can use C++ sockets or even C sockets to transfer your data. But you'll need to build this all out or use a library on your own. I haven't built a C socket since I think I was in college, and that was many decades ago. So I'm not going to try to recreate that there. I'm sure there's probably YouTube videos and documentation that can. That's the thread I linked. It uses ZMQ. It uses a queue of some sort. Take a look. Cha posted a link here. Let's take a peek. TCP/IP server from a custom study. I want a fast data exchange between Python and Sierra. I've got data written to an external app. I've got okay, so this guy is using basically a queue. And is he using a socket or what is he doing? Server. He's building a server class. Yeah, he's using a socket. Yeah, he's using this library and using a socket. So basically, for those who aren't familiar with the basics of what a socket is, basically you're opening up a port on this machine and a port on this machine, and this machine could be considered as a client, and this machine could be considered as a server, and the client establishes a connection to the server. The server responds back saying, "Client, I see that you are trying to establish a connection with me." And the client says, "Yes, I am trying to establish a connection with you, server." And the server is like, "Great. Are you legitimate?" And then the client's like, "Yes, I'm legitimate." And it's more complex than that, but basically they become friends and then they can talk to each other. And what they open up is this like tunnel of connectivity where you don't need to make connection requests when you try to send data. The connection request is made at the beginning through this series of handshakes, and then from there on out, it's the client saying, I have a piece of data, it's X bytes long, and I'm going to send it right now, and then the server receives that, and then the connection doesn't die. It doesn't get shut down. You keep sending it over and over and over, whatever you want. And so what you gain here is the ability to get past some of the bottlenecks in terms of performance that you have with HTTP requests, because this connection stays open until you actually kill it, or until like there's some kind of break, like a internet outage or something. This will stay open. So like, for example, the data feed that you're getting from Sierra, when you guys are looking at your Sierra's data coming in, this is a socket connection. They are not making individual requests, because each of these requests means opening a connection and going through a lot more overhead, and then shutting that down every single time you need to make one of these. There's a time and a place for this, but if you're sending just a boatload of data, a socket might be a better choice. So again, Reinhardt, I know he's not on here, but you'll probably be watching this later. So it depends on the size of the data, the frequency, and the type that you're sending. Oh, you are here. Okay, I did not see you earlier. You are here. Look at the pending orders. Now the bro just use constructed tape. ZMQ is a socket lib. Okay. That would be the ideal solution. It may be overkill. Not trivial in complexity if you're not familiar. Yeah, so this is not trivial, because you need to manage the state of these connections. You need to manage data integrity. You need to manage a bunch of stuff. Also, I don't believe socket communications are guaranteed delivery type of data transfer, whereas an HTTP request is. I believe sockets are lossy in that you can lose data and it just won't make it back unless you implement some kind of retry mechanism yourself. Whereas this does ensure data integrity. You will get that data delivered even if there's an abruption in the internet, this will find a way to get that data sent over here, whereas this won't unless you manually implement that on your own. So some considerations to make there. We're getting into like networking and socket stuff here, but yeah, not all. There's trade-offs. There's compromises that you make depending on what you're trying to achieve. So Reinhardt, I don't know what exactly you're trying to send, but if you're trying to send stuff every 1 second, that might be a bit too frequent for this. If you're saying once a minute, I'd be like, absolutely use a post. Absolutely use a get or a post, depending on the complexity of your structure. If you're doing it once a minute, if you're only doing it once a second, that might overwhelm this, and you're gonna just get really lagged information over. At that point, I think I would be looking at using a socket. Reinhardt saying I could do it every 10 seconds. Okay, yeah, that does change it. I mean, 10 seconds could be considered an eternity for something like a post request, depending on how much data you're sending over. If it's only like a few bytes, then a get or a post might be the more appropriate vehicle for getting that over. It certainly will be easier to implement because you're going to be facing a hurdle with implementation on this because you'll have to build a lot of it from scratch. Whereas this is already built out for you. Sierra already exposes this. So if you can reduce your frequency slightly, you might be able to use one of these and then get away with it. And then on this side, you have your whatever your endpoint is, whether it's a server, a website, an endpoint, an AWS, I don't know, whatever you have. It could be even like a local Python script on your own machine, whatever you want. So yeah, that's kind of it. I am eager to take a peek at where. Hold on a second. It's still above stops. I'm still in this thing. I don't have very much confidence in this now. I really thought I was going to run on that one. But still above stops, so I'll let it go. No, this is not one of my automated trades. No. My automated trades are running here. It got absolutely destroyed today. There's the automated trades for today. Absolutely destroyed. No, this is a live trade. This is a live trade I have going on in Baba, and I've been in it since 9-something a.m., 9:50 a.m., and had a couple of different attempts to make it up here. Wasn't successful, and Tesla still on highs, so we'll see. We'll see how this turns out.
Sorry, are you using CR chart Excel automated trade, or are you using studies?
No, studies.
Okay.
Studies. Yeah, I've never used this. I've never actually used or opened the spreadsheet feature in Sierra. I don't have any idea how that works. I just write my own studies. So, let's see, what can we do next? I am thinking we were already going for an hour and 25 minutes here, or 15 minutes here. I think we probably want to start wrapping it up soon. Yeah, let's get one last question in. One more question. Somebody post one more question, and then we'll call it for Friday. I think I'll try to protect my sanity and try the HTTP request first. I think that's a very good idea, Reinhardt. I would highly advise you go that route if you can sacrifice the frequency piece just a tad. I think it's worth the compromise for the level of complexity you'll save on implementation. So It's funny that I have no idea how the spreadsheets work either. Tried looking at it once and it looked more confusing than just using Excel. I feel the same way, Cha. Um, it's just like, I'm just going to build this myself. Okay, one more question and then we'll cut the stream for today. How to get bar period. Ahmed asks, how do I get the bar period from a chart? There is a function called nope, that's not it. It's like called get bar period or something. Hold on. Get bar period parameters. This is what you want to look at, Ahmed. Where's the link? Copy link. There. Basically, you call this Sierra function and you pass in a structure called bar period. And it will copy all of that chart's bar period settings into that structure, which you can then look at. Oh, they even have an example here. So you create a structure called S bar period. They named it bar period. You can name it whatever you want. And then you call get bar period parameters on that bar period struct. And then you can check what various things are inside that were set inside that bar period struct by that chart. For example, is it an intraday chart or historical? Was the intraday chart period days, minutes, and seconds, like for example, mine are? Then you can go ahead and read this bar period parameter 1, which is the number of seconds per bar, and then you can do whatever you want with that. I'm actually using this function to do some gymnastics on my local setup where I have, I change my bar periods sometimes. Like now it's on a 15-minute, but I start off the day on a 3-minute. And what it does, I have this function called auto bar period here that I connect to other charts in my chart book, and it'll automatically update the bar period on those based on the bar period here. So like I have one that's a multiple of this by 2, so my 6-minute chart's on a different monitor, and then when I move this to 5 minutes, my 6-minute chart moves to a 10-minute chart, and when I move this to 15 minutes, my 10-minute chart goes to a 30-minute chart, etc. So you can build out different things like that, but it all starts by reading in the bar period that you have right here. Reinhardt, what do professionals use as an alternative to Seer chart? That really depends on their goals, their instruments that they're trading. One shop that I was with built everything in-house, including the platform and all the tools. So they're a well-known shop, and they build everything in-house. We use it as a market data database to do calculations on the data, but what are the other solutions? Are they mostly proprietary? Yeah, they're mostly proprietary. Most of the professional shops have the dev team in-house. So, do you recommend NQ Total View in Sierra chart? If you really need the depth data, then yes, I guess, because you don't have any other way to get it. I don't really use it. I use the new feed. It doesn't have depth, but I don't really use it. The depth all that much either. Market depth. Yeah, it's cheap. The new Sierra feed for equities is quite good, so I'm happy with it. Okay, for real now. Last question, and then we're cutting this thing. You're welcome. One last question coming in here. This Baba's gonna. No? Okay, maybe that was the last question. Okay. Well, in that case, have a good weekend, everybody. And I wish this thing had gone. That's the kind of market we're in here. Very tricky. Very, very tricky, tough market. So I'll save my question for next week. Okay, sounds good, man. Everybody have a good weekend, and see you next time. Stop stream. End stream. Yeah, have a good weekend, everybody. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this thing. What a piece. A real patriot? Reinhardt, patriotism is the last refuge for scoundrels. I'll even write that in. Patriotism is the last refuge for scoundrels. Not big on patriotism, to be honest. Never really made sense to me when people say I'm proud to be American or proud to be born in America. It's like you didn't have any choice on where you were born. You had no decision in that. None of your choices led to that. So that's an odd thing to be proud of. I can understand if you're proud to have coded up a socket connection in C++, or you're proud to have gotten your 1 mile run down to a time that is a new personal best for you, or you're proud that you were able to raise children, or and they're happy and successful. That I understand being proud about. Being proud to be born somewhere doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Just pride about something you didn't actually accomplish, but it was just done for you. It doesn't make sense. But that's just me. I know that's not a popular opinion. Question in your trading style: why don't you trail your position? I do once it's far enough in profit, which this didn't get. It didn't. It barely got to a 1-to-1. It barely got to 1-to-1, and then came back. So I was looking for more than 1-to-1. But yes. Let me go use a bathroom break. I'm done streaming on the for the coding thing, but let me go use the bathroom quick and I'll be back. Okay. I saw numbers typing, but I stopped. But I was going to say to Reinhardt, trading technologies is used by profs. Discussion in your trading style. Okay. I think we should manage our trade on new events, not if it's in profit or not. Yeah, I agree. You should manage your trade depending on what your rules and needs are. That makes sense. Still, we'll see. We'll see. This the fact that it hasn't yet caved is really conspicuous. Let's take a look. AMD. These reversion, I mean, look how choppy that is. How common are trading firms nowadays? I'm not talking about HTF, high frequency trading firms only. I think they're very common. There's shops all over the place. All different sorts of strategies and time frames. Not to mention all the small folks doing stuff. Apple. UCAR. I saw this thing in pre-market. It's just completely dying now. Came all the way back in. That last gasp of air. There, I'm going to remove this. Amazon. I was looking for the long in this morning. I was on a 3-minute. And I did not get it down there. It was very close. And I think it ended up making new highs and then just collapsed. And this is what I've been seeing in the last... Lately, this is what I've been seeing, is this kind of crap. Continuations are just not working, and reversions are working. NVIDIA. You got 1.5 R. What do you mean I got 1.5 R? Where you have the stop set at 58 cents? That's not where my stop is. But yeah, I mean it was I think 1-to-1 is what I got. I have an average price of the whole. It got up to like 60, 70 cents. And I was risking 50 cents ish. So yeah, it got, yeah, sure. 1.5 to 1. It got 1.5 to 1. I'm not looking for 1.5 to 1 on this trade. The context of this is much larger. If it was a different context, then yes, but this is not a scalp it out situation. This is a to hold situation for a couple of reasons. One, yesterday. Two, today, and not coming back in and not fading back in like everything else, but holding up here. And all the buying I saw in the morning, I even tried it once here in the morning, got stopped out. But Yeah, tricky environment right now. And also summer, so that does not make it any easier. So that's that was NVIDIA. NVIDIA, I was thinking about shorting. Where was that short? Up here. I did not take that, or no, it would have been here. I did not take that, and it's coming back in now. Google, Microsoft. I tried this Microsoft long and just got blown out too. The continuations are not working. Anytime we get moves up like this, they just revert. So might have to put the reversion cap on. That's just the type of need to pay more attention, at least for my style of trading, at these nearby resistance and support levels, and just play off of those, looking for reversions, because that's what's working right now. So coin, just vicious reversals. CRWD, Octa. That Apple. My goodness. That was very close on that short. And that did end up going through. Let's see, it's Friday. How much work do I have here today? It's gonna do a run. Let's see if it does a run. Let me set an alert for if it gets back up there. Back up here. I think there's an institutional buyer in here. That's my thesis. And this daily chart, my trade is really off of the daily chart, not even the intraday. I keep looking at this daily chart for being centered, and every time I look at it, I'm like, nope, I want to stay in this. I am seeing this. I see a vision where this is up in the high 87s. That's where I'm looking. So just keep watching this daily. What a market. This is really interesting in AMD down here. I remember when this was happening, yeah, I was on a 5-minute watching this play out, and I was like, I don't want to short this because this is looking like exactly like one of those. This will look like one of those situations where it just jams right back up on you. We're just not in the context of just breaking down and failing, and also the daily is not speaking about a failure here, so the higher time frame sentiment just is not aligning with that narrative of continuation. So I skipped the short on that. Will I raise my stop to 84.86? No. Why would I raise my stop to 84.86? Because it's the low of these candles? No, I won't. This is something that I did as a beginner all the time, and if you would like to get stopped out, raise your stop to 84.86. The stop is the stop. That's where I'm wrong. I'm wrong if we're down here again. I'm wrong. When it's up here, I could have said, hey, if it goes back down below here, I'm wrong and I should get out. And I would have gotten stopped out. It took a long time to learn that the stop is the stop. And it also matters on where you are in the trade and also what's driving the trade. Again, this isn't an intraday play. This is all off the daily. So putting a stop at 84.86, like don't even look at this. Don't even look at this chart. Just look at this. Does it make sense to put a stop at 84.86 looking at the daily? No. No, it doesn't. I would argue it doesn't make sense. Does it make sense to, if this continues to run today and this hasn't pulled in at all, and it had this yesterday and it's sitting above there now, does this look like a potential spot where it could go? I would argue yes. I would argue yes, and that's my trade right there. That's my trade. And I've had like several $1,000s of P&L fluctuations just sitting in this position, like back and forth and back and forth. But again, like I keep looking at this chart and I'm like, I see this finishing up here. I see a buyer in here, and every time we come down there, it's getting bought up again. And yes, there was a ceiling here, and we were on the coding stream when it hit this, and I think I was talking to Morphus, and I said something like, if this fails here, that's really bad news for my long. And then it did exactly that and came all the way back down. But I'm looking at the daily. This daily and this trade is off the daily, and I don't know. That's my thesis. I need to stick to it. But there is a time and a place for if you're looking for an intraday move and you're looking to scalp it out. Yeah, there's absolutely if the conditions were different, if this wasn't up here and had room to run, if this was somehow inside here or something, and this came up here and it died, I would absolutely be taking off here. But I think there's a good chance we will come test this again and we'll be up here and here. I think there is a good chance. That was more stepping with the short. The one whoever like hit that right there. Someone hit the bids right there hard. AMD, Amazon. Yeah, that one. That 35. Yeah. That one. NVIDIA. Microsoft. So it's not even a coding stream anymore. What an interesting, look at this daily on Apple. That's really interesting. Earlier in the morning, this looked like it was just caving, dying, pulling right back in, sucking right back into that prior range. But then just held up. Really interesting. Well, if I take a nap, then maybe Baba, or I go do some work for clients, then maybe this Baba will go. If I stop watching it, it'll probably go. Okay, well, I don't really have anything else. Does anybody have questions, comments, concerns? Nope. Okay. Well, have a good weekend. Have a good Friday. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. Send positive vibes for this Baba to hit 87. I could use that. We'll see if it makes its way there. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.